Thank you and welcome to the September 21st, 2021 meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. To help slow the transmission of COVID-19 and protect the health and safety of the community, City Council, as well as boards and commission meetings in this housing authority will continue to be closed to the public for in-person attendance. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. Meetings are broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, AT&T, UVerse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live on high definition on the city's webpage, glendaleca.gov//live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called ScreenWeave and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. Public comments on specific agenda items will be taken when the agenda item is discussed. So with that, let us have roll call, please.
Authority Member Ajinian.
Here.
Agajanian.
Present.
Brotman.
Here.
Devine. Najarian.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
And Chair Kasakian.
Here. May we have your report?
The agenda for the September 21st, 2021 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on September 14, 2021 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
There are no minutes for approval. Next is oral communications. Do we have any callers?
We do not have any callers.
All right. Seeing as we have no other caller and we have no callers, let's move on to the business agenda. What is on our business agenda this afternoon?
6A Community Development regarding Second Amendment to Servicing Agreement between the Housing Authority of the City of Glendale and the Heritage Housing Partners. 1, Housing Authority motion to authorize execution of Second Amendment to the Servicing Agreement between the Housing Authority of the City of Glendale and Heritage Housing Partners. Contract number 8000078, extending the agreement term for 2 years to June 30th, 2023.
Thank you. Mr. Galanian, may we have staff's report?
Yes, good afternoon, Chair Kasakian, members of the Housing Authority, and council members. I'm just going to turn it over to Pamela Jackson, our housing coordinator, to present this item as it was read into the record.
Hi, good afternoon, Housing Authority Chair Kasakian, Authority members. I'm Pam Jackson, Housing Coordinator, here to seek approval of extending our servicing agreement with Heritage Housing Partners for 2 years to June 30th, 2023. As you know, Heritage Housing Partners acts on the authority's behalf for the purchase and resale of condominium units at Doran Gardens, our moderate income first-time homebuyer development. When an owner at Doran Gardens wants to sell their condominium, the authority exercises its right of first refusal to purchase the unit and then resell it to a new moderate income first-time homebuyer. This way, the development remains an affordable ownership project for moderate income first-time homebuyers. Heritage Housing Partners facilitates the entire process from purchasing the unit from the owner, making repairs to the unit as needed, and then marketing and reselling the unit to a new income qualified family. In June, in June, you approved the budget in order to continue this process. We are now before you to seek approval of extending our servicing agreement for another 2 years so that they may continue working on our behalf to preserve the affordability of this project. With that, are there any questions?
My colleagues have any questions?
Mr. Kasakian?
Yes, Authority Member
I have a
Brazian.
question.
Please,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
would you tell us how many units so far were sold by owners, I mean?
We have had at least 5 units that have sold since the project started, since we built the project.
5.
At least 5.
And one is waiting for.
One is
and
waiting.
One is waiting to sell the house. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
That is correct. So with your approval today, we'll immediately reach out to the owner who is seeking to sell, and we'll start the process with them.
All right.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
I just have a question also.
Go ahead, Mr. Agajanian, and then afterwards, Mr. Najarian will speak.
Do we know, let's say on this unit, do we make any money, and the person who's occupying the unit, basically how much money they will make? I mean, what's the profit they will get, and how long they have been in that specific unit?
Okay, so do we make any money? No, we don't necessarily make any money. Our purpose is to just resell it and make sure that a new moderate income family gets into the unit so they have an opportunity. Does the owner make any money? Yes, they can potentially walk away with money. It depends on what the new sales price, it depends on what we purchase it for, and there's a calculation that goes into that. So they can walk away with some money. It could be less than, it could probably be less than $100,000, but they will walk away with some money if their unit has appreciated in value.
If I might add, really that is determined by the AMI for
Yes.
moderate income. So to the extent that AMI has increased over the period of ownership, they might take a small amount of it away, but it's designed to maintain affordability for future buyers. And in this case, Mr. Agajanian, or in this project, I should say, the housing authority has first right of refusal. If we don't exercise that and purchase it at an affordable price, then they're free to sell it at market where they might make a lot of money. So it's important for us to exercise that, and that's why Heritage Housing services that, and they're there. You have also established a line of credit for them to tap into so that we can make those acquisitions quickly.
Thank you.
Mr.
So-
Najarian.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I just want to get this straight. I think I knew this when we first did it back in 2013. I know that property values, market property values for condos from 2013 until today have come close to doubling it in value. So these homeowners, the initial homeowners, bought it at a reduced price. They didn't pay market value. It was subsidized by the redevelopment agency. And was there a second loan on it or something?
A second and a third,
Second and a third.
yes.
The condition was that if they ever do sell it, that the city would hold the right of first refusal. Is that the city or Heritage
They're acting on our behalf.
acting as our agent?
Yes.
Okay, on that. So the question is, let's say that 300,000 condo back in 2013 is worth maybe 600 now. They're not, if we were to refuse the right to purchase it, then they can sell it at market value for whatever they want, and essentially we lose the affordability
Yes,
on that. So the point was to keep these affordable for 45 years or whatever that time period was. So so this calculation that you talked about in terms of what the purchase price is, what sort of equity do they build after 8 years of making payments, it's, in general terms, without getting into the nitty-gritty of the percentages, what are they getting? Someone that put a modest down payment down, had made the payments, and we exercise our right of first refusal. We exercise our option to purchase it. What are they getting out of this?
Mr. Chair, members of the Housing Authority, Peter Zoak, the Assistant Director. Every unit is different. If you recall, there are 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units in this project. And I know there's been discussion about the increase in value of condominiums over time. But really, as Mr. Lansafame explained, The calculation for the eventual resale of these units is contingent on the area median income and the calculations of what is affordable purchase price based upon the median income at the time of sale. So someone who's owned a condominium for, let's say, 5 years, they've had some modest pay down of their first mortgage loan, so they've created their own equity by paying that down to an extent. And let's say incomes increase, let's say $2,000 over the course of the 5 years. The area median income for a family of that size for a 2-bedroom unit, the calculation says it's increased over $2,000. So that allows someone with $2,000 more dollars purchase power towards a home. And what it does is it cycles in. It's almost like an adjustment to your mortgage from a 3% interest rate to 3.25%. Less home you can afford. Similar to that. So the equity and discussion of increase in value that they can realize is very limited to what they pay down during the term of their first mortgage loan. And then there's also an ability for someone to lose money if area median incomes decrease in a particular year that they decide to sell. They're losing money, but they have equity that they paid down. They created equity by paying down their first mortgage loan. For those 5 years, they've had a stable housing payment that they were aware of and were able to plan for, and gave them the ability to save money for other purposes. They were able to benefit by some of the other tax deductions that you can make as a homeowner versus a renter. So they did have benefit. If they don't realize some modest gain, they did have other benefits to the project as well. And that's why the project was set up this way, is because it was a 57-unit project, largest homeownership project that the city had developed at the time, most extensive project, first in the country to use new market tax credits. So many financiers involved in this project. There was leverage funding with other sources. The state of California has a third on there as well, that we had, the council at that time had decided to maintain the affordability forever, rather than just have it at the first sale. I hope that answers your question. I think it gives some
So
information.
they're obligated, if we exercise our right, we dictate what the purchase price is.
We don't. The state median incomes do.
So, I mean, the formula
Correct.
that we use dictates what that
Correct.
price is.
Correct. And they're all counseled on that at time of purchase
Okay,
as well.
okay.
So
All right.
this is not, and we tell them, this is not a investment where you want to get, or you have the ability to get rich. This is an investment in having stable housing prices for however long you want to live and own this unit. And that's how it's explained to them.
Yes, Member
Just
Brotman.
quickly following up on that, but then mainly another question. So if somebody were to stay in the unit for some duration, I guess there's the project duration, then they own it outright at that point?
The duration is a very long time. I believe it's 45 years for them to be able to hold on to.
Yes. So for the second loan, there's a 30-year loan term, but on the third loan, there's a 45-year. So that would be the maximum.
Okay, so in the event somebody, I mean, a young couple or any, could stay in for that long?
Correct.
A period of
It
time.
could. A young couple, though, might, what I think we're seeing in some of the newer sales now is some of the one-bedrooms, families starting to get larger and wanting to upgrade into something else.
Uh-huh. But in the
What you-
event, just
Yeah.
that they stay for the 45 years, they do own it outright?
At the end of satisfying all the requirements, correct.
And they can sell it at market?
They could at that point in time, but we find that very unlikely, having a 45-year home ownership.
Okay, but we have, it's been, what, 9 years, or 8 years on this project? And we've had 5 sell out of 57, so mostly it's been stable,
Oh, yes.
yeah. The main question I had is, how are we selecting the buyers? There must be a pretty hefty waiting list.
There's not so much a waiting list because we don't know when the next sale will take place. We don't know whether the next sale is a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, or 3-bedroom. So part of the contract with HHP requires that they conduct affirmative outreach on the availability of the unit for sale, what the condition is, what the terms are, and that's all conducted by them. Then they go through an evaluation process that's spelled out as well in selecting the most qualified applicant. And then we tend to have those opportunities where there is a resale. We do marketing on our end as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think we also send out materials to the city council as well, making them aware and all of the other departments of the availability of this unit for sale at this particular project.
So the buyer of this unit that's up, or I guess there's one that's coming up, right?
It's the owner, existing owner is wanting to sell.
Right, the existing owner wants to sell, so the ultimate buyer for that is not identified yet?
No.
Correct.
And so there's just outreach. I mean, I imagine there are a lot of people applying. It's a pretty attractive situation, right?
It is, but it is limited in that there are certain requirements that the eventual buyer has to meet. They also have to be at a moderate income level or below to be able to qualify. They have to have good credit. They have to meet some of the other lending guidelines that exist when you're buying a home outside of just the city guidelines.
So not a lot of competition, or there is a lot?
There's competition for those that do apply amongst themselves, yes. But to say that they're receiving hundreds of offers, that's not the case.
So very much unlike the lotteries we do when we have affordable rental units.
Correct.
Very
And
good.
it's a for sale product. A lot of those project lotteries that are advertised and have heavy participation are rental projects.
They're rentals, yeah.
Right.
Okay,
There's a requirement to having a certain percentage of down payment as well, so.
okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I have a question from Mr. Zobak. Mr. Zobak, how we know that, or how we check that the person stays in the unit and does not move when somebody else, relative or a kid, stays in the unit after a while and, let's say, panics, for example. They go and buy another house, they visit this place, but let's say son or daughter are occupying the unit.
That's a
I need
function
to-
of the monitoring section of the housing division, and that's the section that Ms. Jackson heads up. And so they do have measures and controls in place that they look at our units annually to make sure that there hasn't been a change in title, to make sure that the owners that were approved for the unit occupy the unit, and whether the tenants in a rental project, the tenants that qualified occupy the unit. So there is monitoring in place, and it's a very large portfolio that we have, so it requires a lot of work.
Do we monitor it, or there is HHS, you said, or other?
No, our staff monitors all our projects.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions from my colleagues? If not, do we have a motion to authorize execution of this amendment?
I would like to move the item, please.
Second.
All right, it was moved by Authority Member Agajanian and seconded by Member Barazian. Let's have roll call, please.
Authority Member Ajinian,
Yes.
Agajanian,
Yes,
Brotman,
Yes.
Devine, Najarian,
Yes.
Barazian,
Yes.
Chair Kasakian.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Next, let's have, is there any authority member or staff comments? Any comments?
None.
All right, none. Is there any comments from staff?
No, sir.
Seeing none, and since there's no new business, do I have a motion to adjourn and a second?
yes, move to
Second.
adjourn.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. All right, the Housing Authority is adjourned. I'll give our folks down in GTV6 a few moments to change the marquee. All right, let's call to order the joint City Council and Housing Authority meeting for September 21, being called to order at 3:28 p.m. Let us have a roll call, please.
Councilmember,
Let's have it for City Council first.
Councilmember Agajanian,
Present.
Brotman,
Here.
Najarian,
Here.
Mayor Devine, Mayor Pro Tem Kasakian.
Here, and let's have the roll call for the Housing Authority.
Authority Member Argenian,
Present.
Agajanian,
Present.
Brotman,
Here.
Devine, Najarian,
Here.
Parazian,
Here.
and Chair Kasakian.
Here. Thank you, and may we have your report, please?
The agenda for the Tuesday, September 21st, 2021 joint public meeting of the City Council and Housing Authority was posted on September 14, 2021 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. And can you please read the item into the record?
One would be Community Development regarding Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, public hearing for California Municipal Finance Authority proposed issuance of approximately $150 million in tax-exempt revenue bonds in support of several continuing care retirement facilities throughout California, of which an amount not to exceed $25 million will be used for Windsor Manor, a continuing care retirement facility in Glendale and owned and operated by Human Good. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Glendale approving the issuance of approximately $150 million tax-exempt revenue bond obligations in support of Human Good and certain other matters relating thereto by the California Municipal Finance Authority.
All right. And Mr. Galanian, can we have staff's report, please?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Kasakian, members of City Council, and Chair Kasakian, and members of the Housing Authority. This item really is an administrative process that we have conducted in the past. I'm going to ask Peter Zovak, our Assistant Director of Community Development, to walk you through it.
Yes, Chair and Mayor Pro Tem Kasakian, members of the City Council and Housing Authority. As a member of the Joint Powers California Municipal Finance Authority, the Glendale City Council has been requested to hold a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act public hearing, otherwise known as a TEFRA hearing, for the California Municipal Finance Authority proposed issuance of approximately $150 million in tax-exempt revenue bonds, and that is in support of several continuing care retirement senior facilities throughout California, of which an amount not to exceed $25 million will be used for Windsor Manor, which is a continuing CCR facility in Glendale. This hearing is a requirement of the IRS when dealing with the issuance of private activity bonds. The request has been made by the nonprofit sponsor and developer of Windsor Manor, Human Good. Some of you might recall Human Good was formerly known as Southern California Presbyterian Homes, located here in Glendale. While Human Good has 5 affordable senior housing projects in Glendale, Windsor Manor is a market rate senior development. So the City Council's role today is simply to hold a public hearing on the proposed issuance of the bonds. There are no fiscal impact to any of the still operating affordable housing projects that we are involved with. The City Council has held a number of TEFRA hearings in the past, both for city-related projects and private market projects for our nonprofit social service providers in town. So this is not a new activity. In fact, a little bit of a spoiler alert, the City Council will be considering another TEFRA hearing come November for our city-sponsored project with Meta Housing at 900 East Broadway. That project did receive its award of 4% tax credits and bonds, and will now be able to move forward with financing and starting construction on that. So there'll be a TEFRA hearing coming up in November for that particular item. In terms of this proposal in front of you, there is no fiscal impact to the City of Glendale associated with this TEFRA hearing or the issuance of the tax-exempt revenue bonds by CMFA. The bonds will be the sole responsibility of the borrower, and the city will have no financial responsibility or liability for the proposed project or repayment of the bonds. If needed, we do have a representative from the California Municipal Finance Authority as well as Bond Counsel to answer any questions that you might have. Staff is asking that the City Council open the public hearing and receive comments, if any. The Community Development Department recommends that the City Council conduct and complete the TEFRA hearing and approve the issuance of approximately up to $150 million in tax-exempt revenue bonds in support of Human Good.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Zovak. Does council or the Housing Authority have any questions on this item?
Yes, I just have, not question, but to hear Mr. Zovak on issue that I thought it's kind of interesting. We have three alternatives in front of us. One is City Council may adopt a resolution approving the issuance of approximately $150 million tax-exempt revenue bond obligations. And the next one is alternative 2 is the City Council may not adopt a resolution approving the issuance of approximately $150 million tax-exempt revenue. So I asked this question, but since it was interesting, maybe someday want to hear, I asked the same question from Mr. Zovak to explain what will happen if we don't.
Yes, this was asked of us, of staff yesterday, and technically, when we're preparing these reports, we must provide the council any and all alternatives that could exist with regards to the action before them. In this particular case, it may be very difficult for the city council to not adopt a resolution. The purpose of this meeting is to simply receive public comment on the proposed issuance, and then those public comments get transmitted back to the project sponsor, the bond council, the bond issuers for their evaluation. So it's very highly unusual that a city council would not adopt the resolution approving the bond issuance. But to say that it is a definite no is not possible either. So that option exists in the staff report. But again, it's very very highly unusual incident that findings could be made that would a council would not approve the issuance.
All right.
Thank you. I was not suggesting, of course, that not to adopt this bond issuance of the bond is just since it was one of the alternatives. So I was curious why. We have no influence on deciding this. So we have no choice than to say we are okay with it, which I am okay with it. I'm just, I want to make sure that we have no influence on this. Or no alternative, actually. We have no alternative. We have to adopt it.
Mr. City Attorney, is there, we have to open?
It's just, it's a public hearing, so just open and close the
Okay.
hearing at the appropriate time.
All right. So we'll consider this public meeting opened, and if there's, do we have any callers on this item?
We do not have any callers on this item.
Does authority members or council have any other questions on this?
No questions or comments.
All right, then we will close the public
May I
hearing.
move the item?
Sure, there's a motion to move the resolution for city council. Is there a second? Okay, moved by Councilmember Agajanian, seconded by Councilmember Brotman. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Agajanian,
Yes.
Brotman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Devine, Mayor Pro Tem Kasakian.
Yes. All right, the resolution for these tax exempt revenue bonds passes. And with that, is there a motion and a second to adjourn this joint meeting from the council?
Move for council to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn for the Housing Authority?
I'll move to adjourn for the Housing Authority.
Is there a second? Thank you. All right, both bodies stand adjourned. Okay, with that, let us have roll call for the afternoon city council meeting.
Councilmember Agajanian,
Present.
Brotman,
Here.
Najarian,
Here.
Mayor Devine, Mayor Pro Tem Kasakian.
Here, can you please read the items for closed session into the record?
We are pulling item 1A and 1C. We will be reading item 1B into the record. Conference with legal counsel pending litigation. Fu versus City of Glendale, LASC case number 20-STCV 13983.
Do you anticipate reporting out on this item?
We do anticipate reporting on this item, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, so anticipating that we will report out on item 1B, we will now recess to closed session to return at around 6 p.m. Thank you.